Salutations everybody, it is Maddie here today. Let's talk about BioWare a little bit. BioWare has gradually become a core part of my channel. Right next to Bethesda are my BioWare videos, and I find that rather exciting because I've grown up playing their games for a long while. With that said, my coverage of BioWare has never been a glowing positive reception because of their recent games, and people sometimes assume that I just hate BioWare. Now, it is a very vocal minority. Most of you understand the concept of opinions, but today I wanted to break down my interpretation of BioWare, how I approach covering them, and just talking about them in general. So the conflict starts because I always preach about how awesome I think the old school BioWare is and how the new version of them really isn't as good and can't hold a candle to what they formerly were. And so a few people will just go ahead and assume that because it's not what it used to be, that I think it's instantly bad. And that's not the case, of course. What I do when I approach covering BioWare games, and this applies to all games, mind you, but since we're talking about BioWare today, we'll use them specifically as an example, is it's not when I see a piece of news I decide I'm going to like this, I'm going to dislike this, I'm going to stay in the middle on this, I'm going to see what people say. No, I read it, I interpret it for myself, and I deliver the news to you guys alongside my opinion. That's how this channel has always run. Because if you've been around here a long time, then you'll know that my channel is built off of two things: news, discussions. And now I kind of combine the two where, like I said, I deliver the news, discuss it with you guys, give you my 2 cents on the whole topic, and then we move on. And I think that my skepticism of BioWare is justified because I said well before Mass Effect Andromeda, when I really started to tie BioWare as a big part of my channel, I'd say around last November, I was always saying that I'm excited for this game, I'm looking forward to it because it's more BioWare, but I really want to make sure that I'm cautiously optimistic with this one because it might disappoint me. I didn't enjoy Inquisition all too much. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but Andromeda wasn't what we thought it was. I was right on the money, and my skepticism was technically rewarded. So when I approached Anthem, I was a bit skeptical as well, especially because it's no longer a BioWare RPG. They're doing something vastly different, and we encourage that type of creativity, but I think approaching it with skepticism hasn't really steered me wrong quite yet, but I'm more than willing to be proved wrong. One of the biggest goals with my channel that I think I do a very good job with is being able to deliver my opinion to you guys without telling you how to think or how to feel about it, and trying to leave the discussion at the end very open for you guys to interact with each other in the comments down below. And so I think that's where these discussions get really interesting is, yeah, you may like the new BioWare, I love the old BioWare, and that's where I think the discussion becomes really interesting, where if we have conflicting opinions, it shouldn't lead to argument or accusations of you hate them just because my opinion doesn't line up with yours. In fact, this should enhance the discussion on where we can come to the middle on both these styles of BioWare for their future games. And I think hate's a really overused word on the internet. If I were to describe it as anything, it's tough love. They have to earn my trust back because as a consumer, I don't feel really satisfied with the products they have put out for me. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you think BioWare now is awesome, you don't like old BioWare, or vice versa, awesome, let's engage in that discussion. It doesn't have to jump to accusations to try to drive out someone else's opinion because it doesn't line up with yours. And this video discussion can really apply to any game I talk about or cover in the future, but I just want to make sure we narrow down on BioWare today because we've been talking about them a lot because Bethesda isn't in the news mill a lot, so BioWare definitely gives me a ton to talk about on the channels. Plus, I can't hate them that much. I mean, look, I'm wearing my Andromeda sweatshirt. See, I like them. They're cool. Anyway, I'm not here to really defend my opinion, more so clarify how I approach BioWare coverage, and that'll do it for this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on BioWare now in the comments down below, so fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.